Hey, so I think I still might be nervous about getting on here and making myself look like an idiot. So I think the best way to handle that is to go ahead and make myself look like an idiot on purpose. I was wondering how to best do this. I could tell some stories, maybe the time I got diarrhea, but there's not really much to that. Then I got my finger on it. Could tell you all about my love life. That I think would do the trick. So I'm just gonna sort of go over my life of romance to show how I've been kind of an idiot. If that's not really your thing, I do strongly suggest sticking around towards the end because kind of the end of the story surmises in the worst day of my life. If you're wondering why I seem a bit excited about telling that story, you should probably stick around. So, the first major instance of romance in my life was about seventh grade. I was at Falls Creek, which was the biggest Baptist church camp ever. It is full all summer. Different churches come through it, and they have these things called icy dates. And this was my first year there, short, little, nerdy, weird kid. And a girl about 2 years older than me asks me on an icy date. Now, they're not real dates, but in my position, it's like, yeah, that's right, I'm a player. And we spent a while hanging out over the week, and there was a lot of note passing at this camp. And one day she gave me a note which read Romans 16:16. If you know your Bible, you know that's a verse. I didn't know off the top of my head, so I looked it up as soon as I got back to my cabin. Which reads, greet each other with a holy kiss, all the churches of Christ send greeting. Huh. Huh. What exactly do you do with that? I had no idea. It's like I'd never kissed anyone before, so next time I saw her, I walked straight up to her and kissed her right on the tree, right on the cheek. That space between the mouth and the ears right there. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Later she kissed me on the mouth. But yeah, we went to different churches and I didn't think she was from a whole nother state, so I didn't really see her. Like, saw her once after that at the same camp, but it was just, yeah. Later, I was looking at the notes because I kept all the notes I'd gotten from camp, and I found hers again. I looked up that verse again, and I was like, yeah, Romans 12:12, which reads, if you have hope, this will make you cheerful. Do not give up if trials come, and keep on praying. Wait. I looked back at the note. I looked at it. It was like, I misread her handwriting. That wasn't 16. That was 12:12. My first kiss was because I couldn't read a girl's handwriting. That's kind of ridiculous. Uh, I didn't have any other sort of relationships until college, where I went on my first real date. And I met this girl, and she was nice. And so I asked her out, and I invited her to this poetry competition that happens every year at my college. It wasn't the best plan because it was a event where everyone has to sit quietly and listen, and big public event, and there's not really any secluded seating or anything like that. So before the date, I brought her roses, not like real roses, like paper towel roses folded up to look like it. It was I'm a bit of a romantic. She was dressed normally. I was dressed up as like, okay. And we got to the thing, and she found a group of her friends and spent most of the time talking with them. That's fine. That's all right. We went and hung out at her after the thing. We went and hung out at her dorm room with her roommate. The girl I asked out ended up getting on her laptop. And I ended up just spending a long time talking with her roommate. Got along very well. Turns out she likes Adam Sandler movies and Bieber, so not that well, but well enough. So that didn't go anywhere. I could start getting into all the crushes I've had, but that might take a while. So I will surmise to say that there was a fantastic period in my life when one of the best ways to identify if a girl was already in a relationship is if I found them attractive. This was just uncanny. Like, I could know nothing about the girl, think she's pretty, and then, like, a guy would walk up instantly and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Not the best superpower in the world, but I'm not sure this is something other people can do. One of the most incredible moments of this was the campus threw together a dating game show for one night when, if you don't know the structure, you get one guy and there are three girls on the other side of the curtain. Guy asks girls question and picks one to go on a date with. I picked a girl who is already in a relationship. Like, no visual contact, just pure questions. And yeah, it turns out she was just on the show because she thought it'd be a fun, silly thing to do. Her boyfriend didn't think that. So I was just sort of given a gift card to a restaurant, and next time my dad and stepmom were there, we all went out, fed three people for just $10. It was great. It was a great night. Yeah. And late into college, that's when I met her. This girl was fantastic. She was amazing, brilliant, nerdy, all sorts of great defining features, which were the first things I noticed. I didn't really notice any of the things after. It might have been helpful if I noticed the things after, but I didn't. My friends noticed issues that popped up. One of them actually took me aside. It's like, hey man, no, this is your first major relationship, but it doesn't have to be permanent or stay or continue. I was like, bah, what do you know? We're perfect. We're going to be together forever. This is love of my life. A few months later, she ended up breaking up with me and immediately started dating one of my friends. It's great. That's fine. That's awesome. I ended up spending way too much of like the next year wishing and hoping that that would stop happening and that we could just go back. As wasn't great. And I met another girl, and she was nice. She's a very nice girl, and I'm nice, so we were very nice. Nice. But it turns out that a relationship kind of needs more than just nice. And this is one of the like weird things that contrasts like in the media when a couple should break up. It's usually because someone's doing wrong or someone did a terrible thing and all that stuff. But sometimes relationships just don't work. No one has to actually do anything wrong. So as soon as I figured out that it just wasn't working, I broke it off and I couldn't really explain it to her why. How do you explain that nothing's going wrong and we need to break up? It's Yeah, it was awkward. And so I then was just focusing on college because relationships were terrible. I was still a romantic at heart, but got to this that poetry contest I mentioned before. It was coming up again, and I was like, this is my last year in college. I should enter because I'm actually a decent writer when I put my mind to it. So I wrote a poem, submitted it online, and then I had a really long, difficult week of essays, tests, all that sort of thing. So I wasn't checking my email. So when I finally did, on the day of the contest, I learned that they never got my poem. And I apparently had, there was a typo in the email address of the, so my email never actually went through. So I ran over to the literature department, found the person in charge, was like, please, can I still be? And he's like, no. And I was like, yeah, that's fair, because that's fair. So I was kind of bummed out. But I had a internship at a veterinary clinic at the time. So I went over there that afternoon. There was a lot of surgeries going on. And so one of the people helping out there was like, hey, you want to help tie down this puppy? It's going in for surgery to get neutered. And I was like, okay. And so I'm helping out, and it's on anesthesia. And that's when its heart stopped. The vet rushed in. They all started helping out. I had no idea what to do. I was interning and taking a lot of pictures, so I took a picture. Vet immediately said, "Don't take pictures." I immediately deleted that picture, and after a couple minutes, they got it resuscitated. Okay, he was like, "We're not doing surgery on this dog today," so we brought him back to the kennel. After a little while, one of the aides told me that I should go pick it up, hold it for a bit because it's going to be groggy and disoriented as it's getting up. So I'm holding it, and it's doing like little weak motions, and it's like, oh. And then it just dramatically threw its head up and then went limp in my arms. And the aide and the vet got to it, and at this point, there was really nothing to do. And it died. So I sat down alone in one of the checkup rooms, and the aide came in with another dog from a different litter and was like, "Hey, this one's going in for surgery in a little bit. You want to take care of him?" I held that dog really close. So that happened. And then that evening, I did not go to the poetry contest because I told people I was going to be in it and I wasn't, and it would have just been awkward. But some of my friends, after they were leaving, went up and was like, "Hey man, how's it going? Why weren't you in it?" I was like, I made a mistake. It didn't get sent in." And they're like, "Man, that's terrible." I was like, I still even got it here. And they're like, "Why didn't you read it?" And I read it and they loved it. And that was pretty awesome. There was even a girl there who I thought was kind of cute, and I'd recently made the decision to ask her out because we were in the same club on campus. I was going to ask her out at the next meeting, but she was sitting kind of close to this guy, and then that was fine. And the whole group walked and talked for a while. We eventually made it back to the dorms where that friend of mine and that girl I was gonna ask out, they hugged a bit longer than just friends hug. And then he kissed her on the cheek. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. All right, whatever. So I get back in my car to drive home, and I turn on the radio, and what's on the radio? I'm Blue. Immediately followed by When September Ends. Really? Really? All of that. One day. Whatever. This is the point where one just sort of has to throw their hands up and being like, fine, do you want me to roll on my side so it's easier to kick me while I'm down? Like, really? I just burst out laughing in my car because if all those things had happened like throughout a week, it'd have been a terrible week, but all in one day, it's just hilarious. This just doesn't happen. So, yeah, worst day of my life. That is my love life in a book. Um, you might have noticed that lady in the back of the video and the fact that in previous videos I've talked about my wife. So, okay, there is a bit more to this story. We'll call this an epilogue. That girl from the worst day of my life, I married her a few years later. I know, it's crazy. And before anyone starts being like, "Oh, you player, get you," they start thinking maybe I'm like went behind my friend's back. No, they broke up of natural causes, and then I asked him if he minded me asking her out, and he was cool with it because the bro code's important, guys. So married now, going well, happily, all that stuff. Major moral of the story: get friends and people who know you well and listen to them because when you're in a relationship, you're kind of blind. And my friends think we're a good match. They didn't think my past relationships were. So I didn't think through an ending of this video, so bye.